Coach P. Coffee Brown and the DFG Publishing House family presents She Chose Him and Screwed Me, 9 Reasons for Her Decision, a brand new anthology project by 9 incredible women. They share with you their reasons as to why they would date one and choose to be married to another. Order your copy today from your favorite author or simply go to www.dfgpublishingtoday.com. And everybody, welcome to this week's edition of the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Coffee Brown. We're just getting started. We're just in the building. We are live in Clubhouse, LinkedIn, YouTube, and on Facebook. Our panel is getting ready to spread the wealth on their platform so let everybody know that we are live and in color tonight. So welcome in to the Hot Seat, everybody. As you're coming in, say hello. Give some shout outs, say what's up, what's good in the hood, all that good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and spread this on our personal platforms so that our communities that can know that we're live. We're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Good evening, everybody in the Clubhouse streets. Welcome in to the Hot Seat. I am your hostess with the mostest, P. Coffee Brown, and we are here once again with the Women of Wisdom crew. Round 3, you guys have asked for it, and these beauties are back in the building. So it's super exciting to have them in with us again. Grateful for them coming in hot again. Okay, looking fabulous each and every week. And so it is an honor to be able to have these amazing women in the building with us again on tonight. Good evening, Denise. Denise has got to be back on the show. That is one of my closest and dearest friends of all time, actually. Long time. Love you, long time friend. You know, you have those friends from God. You like, man, we've been friends forever. Then you start thinking to yourself, well, how grown am I really? Am I that grown? So like I said, it's always a blessing to have good life friends, and Denise is one of those. So welcome in, everybody. As you're coming in, go ahead and share the live stream, throw some hearts in, say hello to us. And if you're in Clubhouse, we ask that you click that counter and counterclockwise indicator at the bottom of your screen and go ahead and share the room with the community. All right, we are live streaming and excited to be here. So good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for coming in. Tonight's conversation is going to be another one that is centered around talking about how we're dealing with ourselves as women. So the backdrop of the story is, first of all, I'm Coach P. Coffee Brown here in the great state of Texas by way of Houston. I'm going to let my sister honey friends introduce themselves in about 30 seconds. But I want to give y'all a brief backdrop before we do the soft introductions and get into the conversation. So one thing that we have been guilty of as women of color, people of color, is really not taking care of us, not showing up for ourselves. We show up for everybody else. We show up for our children. We show up for our spouses. We show up for work. We show up for everything else. But at the end of the day, we have a huge deficit in the minority community. It's not just women of African-American descent, but it's minority women in general, where we suffer from not being able to learn how to put ourselves first. It is a generational defect. It's happened for many, many years. This is not something that's new to our communities. We've seen it going on for countless years in our yesteryears. We started talking about something a little bit similar on last week about our daughters, but this week we're talking about ourselves. How are you going to show up for you in 2022? And so even our men, unfortunately, our heart disease has stolen a lot of our men's lives, including my husband. He passed away of heart disease at the young age of 44. And it's not uncommon for men of color to pass away prematurely because we have a challenge with communicating and connecting in our communities. Just having those conversations, the heartfelt conversations that are required in order for us to be okay internally and externally, whatever that means to you. So we want to start addressing the things that we need to address as a community. That's what our show is all about. The hot seat is not just about pleasure. It's about the pain of our process and how we can propel to a much better future together. We want to remain together, keep our families together, keep ourselves together, be here to support each other, be on the forefront of making sure that our sisters and our brothers are fine. We are our sisters and our brothers' keepers. That's what we are. We're supposed to do that. We're supposed to edify, encourage, and make certain that we're all okay. We're in this together. I say this statement all the time. We're all in one race. It's called the human one. We're all in the same exact race, no matter where we live, what our income status is, how light we are, how dark we are. If my hair is short, if my hair is long, at the end of the day, we're all in the same race. It is called the human one. And so we want to start learning how to take better care of ourselves so that we can be here for each other. So I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry, yielding the mic over to my sisters for their intros. If you ever been on a plane in your entire life, the one thing that you will learn and you will take away from that plane ride is this. When you come on the plane, they instruct you in the event that something may happen on that plane. They ask that you take care of you first before you save another life. So they admonish you to put you first. And that's almost like one of the only places that you ever hear that is to put you first. In the event of an accident, put you first. Don't think about anybody else. Don't put an oxygen mask on somebody else. They tell you to save you first. So that's what we're talking about today is what are you going to do to show up for you in 2022? So I'm going to yield the mic over to my sisters. We're going to start with Effie Robertson in the building tonight. So Effie, go ahead and introduce yourself, gorgeous. Effie, you're on mute, mama. You got to unmute, mama.
All right, can you hear me now? All right. My name is Effie Robertson. I am honored to be here. I am a best-selling author. I am a master resilience coach. I am an international speaker, and I love this topic that we're having tonight because my mission in the world is to help equip women who has just been knocked down by life challenges. I want to equip them, help to equip them with the confidence to get back up, the courage to face those fears about trying again, and be able to help them with the tools to be able to bounce back, break through those self sabotaging behaviors that threaten to keep them stuck where they are so that they can move toward their new goals and dreams. I'm also the CEO and founder of Fielding Dreams 365. So I am so honored to be here. And again, I'm looking forward to this conversation because with myself, I have been knocked down repeatedly and I had to continually show up for me. Show up for me when no one else would. I had to continue to show up for me. So thank you for having me, Coffee.
Awesome. Awesome, Effie. Thank you so much for being here. Lady Victoria, it's on you, lady.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be a part of this platform. Thank you so much, Coffee, for this opportunity. Lady Victoria, I am the owner of Victoria School of Etiquette Training and Consulting. It is something that I talk about all the time. It is my life passion. We talk about all different styles of etiquette training, all different types of etiquette. I tell people all the time, my clientele all the time, the manners that you practice in private, those are the ones that will show up in public. So this is why I admonish you to always be on your best behaviors, be on your best manners. In my classes and courses, I address social etiquette issues, business etiquette issues, personal etiquette issues as well. We are developing a new part to our school that's going to cater exclusively to teenagers. That course is called Shirts and Skirts, and that will be available later this year. And then later on, academy that is going to be designed specifically for school age children, starting as young as 5 years old. But I talk about the behaviors that we practice every day also creates the manners that we practice every day. So if you transform your behaviors, you will transform your manners. So I'm really glad to be here and share that. The other thing that I do is mentoring young women and mentoring teenagers. And that's also a part of my etiquette program and a mentorship program entitled Mirror Mirror, where young girls get to talk about how they see themselves externally versus how they should view themselves internally. It's built around self esteem and it is built around self love. So that is what I do. Thank you so ladies. Thank you so much, ladies. Coffee, thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely. I didn't realize my mic was still open. Y'all forgive me. I thought my mic was closed. I'm glad I wasn't saying nothing crazy. Mighty Christ. My good. Woo. Chandra, it's on you, mama. Let me make sure my mic is closed this time.
We have the spirit of the mics tonight. Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. Good evening. I'm so excited to be back with you all. My name is Chandra Deneen, also affectionately known as Coach Sean D. I too am a best-selling author, executive coach, and motivational speaker. My passion, my everything is built around providing information around overcoming fear. I encourage women to do it afraid, grab courage in one hand, confidence in the other, and move forward towards your dreams and goals. We accomplish nothing when we are sitting in fear. Fear is a paralyzer, and we have to acknowledge it, we have to deal with it, and we have to move forward. So that is my platform. That is what I do, and I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Awesome. That's what's up. Let's see if Angie gonna come in hot with the microphone ministries tonight. Angie, it's on you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Angie Renee, and I show Black women how to unlearn self sabotaging behaviors so that they can attain loving and sustainable relationships. And by relationships, that includes friendships. I also am the owner and operator of All Things Angiology. Um, Angiology is actually my thoughts and opinions about any and everything. Okay, so mixed with a lot of sarcasm, wittiness, and candid, but of course, it is all done in love. It's never an attack. I am the author of 5 books. My newly released book is called The F Word: How to Own Your Femininity and Use It to Your Advantage. I believe that teaching specifically Black women about femininity is very important because a lot of us had no idea what feminine energy is, including myself. I've always had a passion for educating women in a very candid way, anyway. So, just knowing about femininity, teaching them about it, the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts, what's true, what's not true, the myths, the facts, all of those good things is definitely something that I absolutely love doing. So, yes, it is a pleasure to be here with my sister Coffee on this evening. So, I hope to serve you all the best way that I can.
I absolutely love it. Love it. Love it. These are some dynamic, powerful women. All of them are in the coaching and leadership space. So if you guys want to connect, be sure that you do that. Like, share, and follow them on all social media platforms so that you can stay plugged in and connected to what they are doing. They have a lot of incredible things that they offer, incredible opportunities to connect with them. So definitely tap into them. All right. In the news around the world today is a very difficult day for some people as we address the world when it comes to the child slavery that's going on, when it comes to these kidnappings and things of that nature. January 11th is the day where that is talked about heavily. We talked about it in school today, so on and so forth. But we want to stay aware of what's going on in our communities, in our world, in our neighborhoods. Kids are being snatched left and right, and they're being put into modern day slavery. And it's absolutely crazy that at a time like this, that we still have these saddening world events going on. Also, there's still a extreme number of individuals who are suffering from this particular pandemic. So I just want to encourage you guys that wherever you go to make sure that you wear a mask, even if you are vaccinated. Vaccinated individuals are being stricken just as easily and quickly as individuals who are not vaccinated. The CDC released a document here over about a week ago, And they indicated that you can go ahead and be out and about 5 days after you are tested positive, so long as you wear a mask. So, of course, we know that is the craziest thing we probably have heard in a long time, and it makes no kind of cognitive or common sense. So, I would strongly encourage you to take care of you. All right, now that we're out of the news, let's get back to the subject at hand. Again, tonight we're talking about how are you showing up for you in 2022. What are the things that you are using to make certain that at the end of the day you're not overly stressed, you're not exhausting yourself to the point where you can't function at your best and highest use, and you are in a position to where you're able to remain positive in the space of opposition and all the other things that will come into our space as we navigate through life. So we're not asking for permission, we're asking for partnerships. So we want to talk about this and talk about how are you showing up for you in 2022. So I'm going to yield the mic over to Effie first. Effie, what's going on? How are you showing up for Effie in 2022?
Oh, wow. So, just to give you a little bit of story, in May of 2021, my husband and I decided to do a quick, spontaneous vacation. We had never been on vacation. We had never been on a honeymoon because between the two of us, we have 7 kids, and we just haven't done a vacation on our own by ourselves. Well, at this point, we decided, we he came upstairs one night and I said, "Hey, you want to go to Vegas tomorrow?" And he was like, "Tomorrow?" I was like, "Yep, tomorrow. We're going to go tomorrow." We literally booked the tickets, about 10 o'clock that night. Our flight was leaving about 2 o'clock the next day. We go, we have this spontaneous trip. I mean, wonderful trip, 5 days. We having fun. We get stuck at the airport. We have to rent hotel. We stuck for 3 days, no, 2 days, I think. Um, and I like logged everything on Facebook because it was just fun. We didn't know what was happening. It was like, okay, well, this is what you get for not taking the kids. This is what you get. But we laughed about it. We had a great time. I came back home, and the very next day, I was on a ventilator fighting for my life, fighting for my life. Not because of COVID, not because of any sickness, because I took a pill and I had allergic reaction to it. They were going to cut my throat open, give me a trach. They ended up forcing the vent down my throat. And I was there for 7 days fighting for my life. But I remember laying on that table, and as the doctors scrambling, the nurses are scrambling, trying to figure out, what to do. She's going to survive. I can hear my husband. He's holding my hand. He's praying. I'm trying to squeeze his hand. He can't hear me. I can hear everything that's going on around me. Everything. And I'm trying to come up out of it. My husband said that I was trying to come out so often that they were taking the propofol and fentanyl out of the bags and shooting it in my vein so that they could keep me sedated. But I remember lying there thinking, God, give me one more chance, one more chance, one more chance just to tell my kids I love them, one more chance to tell my husband I love him, one more chance to write that book I said I was going to write, one more chance to get on a stage and speak. Well, I've been saying this for the last year. One more chance to finish my master's degree. One more chance. I said that. One more chance. I just kept asking God, asking God. When I got out that hospital bed, there's been no stopping me. I have wrote another book. I have three more actually that will be coming out by March. I have spoke on international stages. I have showed up for myself. One, there is no choice because tomorrow is not promised to any of us. It is not promised. It is not promised. So I decided from that moment on that I will show up for myself, that I will take care of myself physically, Health wise, yes, I have to make a commitment to get up and exercise even when I hate it. I have to make a commitment to put down, the snacks even when I want a snack. I have to make a commitment to myself just to disconnect from social media, even if it is in the moment. And a lot of what we do is surrounded with social media. But I have to take a moment to say, you know what? I may post something inspirational, but I'm gonna take a setback. I'm gonna sit down from social media for the day, spend time with my family, enjoy my family. You have to be in the moment. And I think a lot of times we get so caught up in everything that's going on around us, that we forget to enjoy the moment. And I am learning more so now to enjoy the moments, the moments with my families, the moments when I get up and take a walk and I feel the air and I'm able to suck in the air and I'm able to breathe out the air, the moments that my feet are able to take one step in front of another, the moment I'm able to go take a shower, the moment I'm able to put my arms around my children, the moment I'm able to text a friend and say, you know what, I love you. Why you text me? Just because I love you. The moment I'm able to sit here and collaborate with all these beautiful women on this panel, you know what? I enjoy every single day now. So I consistently show up for myself. And that's what I want everyone to do. Make a commitment. Make a commitment for you to show up for you. Make a commitment that you're going to win, and make a commitment that you're not going to stop until you win. Whether big or small, every win is a win.
Well, my God, Lord, okay. Well, did she not show up, Sister Dennis? My God, did she not? The daughter, did she show up? Whew, Effie, Effie, Effie. Girl, you done came in hot. My God, I love it. I absolutely love it. It is beyond important that we do what we need to do for us. It's beyond important. Sometimes we feel like we're behind somebody, based on age. We say, well, I'm almost this age and I should be here. I should be there. I should have did this. I should have been did that. And I remember I was watching this show one day, and the guy that was officiating, he said, if we could just learn that whatever moment we're in is the moment that's intended, we would take the pressure off ourselves. We can't change a clock that has already ticked. There's nothing we can do about a clock that's already ticked. If it's all you already heard it, go to the next minute, the next year, the next whatever, next decade. Nothing you can do about that. You can, however, start from where you are. I put a post up recently and I talked about you may be starting over, but you're starting over with wisdom this time. You know more. You're much more equipped to do this thing again. So it's okay. It's not as serious as it was before, when you were ignorant, when you didn't have the information, when you didn't have the access, and you didn't have the network. So you're good now. You got to look at it from a different perspective. We can't always look at things from an opposing point of view. We have to learn how to be a realistic optimist, meaning this is my reality, but I'm optimistic about where I intend to head. I'm gonna yield over to Chandra. Chandra, how are you showing up for you in 2022?
Well, first of all, I was hoping you did not call me to follow Effie, because that, I mean, man, Effie, that if that doesn't grab you, my goodness. So thank you for sharing that. But to answer your question, what am I doing to show up for me in 2022? This pandemic has really caused me to stop and evaluate relationships, stop and evaluate even my career, where my career was headed. What was I doing? Was it feeding my purpose? Was it feeding my values? Were the things that I wanted in my life aligned with my career? Were my relationships aligned with the outcomes that I wanted? And I got to tell you, it caused me to make some really big shifts and some really big changes. And one of the things that I'm doing for myself is, first of all, saying no. And my no has been the biggest yes that I have experienced. My no has been my biggest yes. So saying no to some career choices. I shared with Cope last time before we got on the air that I left my job. I left my 9 to 5 full-time job because it came to a point that it was not aligning with the purpose for life. And I was more at an anxiety, had more anxiety than I had peace. And it was a really big decision to make, but it was probably the first time in a very long time, in an extremely long time, where I put myself ahead of the needs of my kids. I have a son that's in college. My oldest son and his wife just had babies, so, in our minds as women, we think, I got to keep working because I got to help. I never know when they're going to need my help. I got to keep working because I have a son in college and I never know when he's going to need me. And we sacrifice our own peace and we sacrifice our own balance for so many other people. And so for me, for the first time, I said, okay, Chandra, at 46 years old, put yourself first for once. Think about what you want to accomplish and how are you going to align things for things to fall in place. And I posted earlier this week on social media that, we heard the question all the time, when will it happen? When will the time be right? When will it happen? And when will, whatever it is that you're looking for. And, we get caught up in comparison. Well, when is it going to be my time? When is it my turn? I see this happening for this person. I see that happening for that person. When is it going to be my time? When will the time be right for me? And what I have learned in the last 6 months of allowing no to be my greatest yes is that the time is now. The time has come. So there will be situations where if we will just pay attention to our own internal alignment as a form of self-care, some of the things that you've been waiting and desiring can actually show up. You actually create capacity for those things to show up for you. When I was giving 12 and 13 hours to someone else's dream and to a career, I was creatively drained by the time I got home in the evening. So how was I going to write the book? We're all speakers and coaches. So if you're like me, I have 4 journals of some sort sitting on my counter on my desk right now as we speak. There's notes in each one of them. So, all of the unfinished books, all of the coaching opportunities that I'd like to take advantage of, the stages that I would like to step on, the dreams that I had were so large that I had to create capacity and space for those things to become reality. So when you ask, what am I doing for myself as in terms of self-care in 2022, I'm paying attention. Pay attention. I'm paying attention to everything. Everything is becoming intentional, down to what I eat. I was laughing with a friend just a few minutes ago. I had a bowl of Raisin Bran this morning and I did something different. I put a banana in it. And so around 12 o'clock, I hadn't eaten lunch and I noticed that I started getting really shaky. And I stopped and I had to think about, what did I eat? What have I consumed? What has, what spiked my blood sugar to make me feel this way? So I had to go back and I said, okay, I had a banana in my Raisin Bran. So it was just a little bit too much sugar for breakfast this morning. But I say that to say, being intentional down to that granular level of what am I taking in? What are the conversations I'm having? Who am I surrounding myself with? And what am I doing with the time that I have in this day? So in 2022, I'm saying I'm allowing no to be my greatest yes. I'm paying attention to my internal self. I'm paying attention to that small, quiet voice that leads and guides me in all things. You'll be amazed at how well you can hear when you quiet everything else. When you take that time for yourself. And I'm so glad we're having this conversation, because when you talk about self-care, a lot of times the first thing that comes up is I'm going to go have a pedicure, I'm going to have a manicure. And all of those things are fantastic, but it's the result from self-care that you're looking for. It's not the activity. It's the result of what I do when I am loving on myself through a quality time with myself. So not knocking the manicure and pedicure, but that's not the self-care. The self-care is, what does that activity create for you? Does it bring you peace? Does it bring you balance? And once you're in that space, then what do you do with it? So being intentional with how I use my time, how I create these spaces, and allowing no to be my loudest yes.
Y'all ain't playing no games tonight. I'm loving it. It's the no yes for me, honey. Listen here. I just love this. Welcome in to Clubhouse. As you guys are coming in, go ahead, ping some people into the room, and that little clockwise, counterclockwise button at the bottom of your screen. Go ahead, ping some people in here and share this on Clubhouse and all your other social media platforms. It has been updated for you to be able to share not only here on Clubhouse, but on all other social media platforms. So go ahead and share that for us. We would greatly appreciate it. It's 13 of us here now. If all 13 of us share it, we can get it out to 13 more additional communities. So do that for me. Give us some digital currency in Clubhouse. And we are talking about how are you showing up for you in 2022. In 2022, how are you showing up for you? It's so interesting that we're having this conversation because for the first time in my life, I was sharing some information with my children that I never shared before, and I was so reluctant to do it. But I was like, you know what? There's no need to hide anything anymore. It doesn't make any sense to keep hiding anything. That's there's no value in that. And so I shared something, and then my children came back and they shared how they were feeling about some things. And so we started having these different types of dialogue, these different types of conversations. And as a parent, when you have conversations with your children, you start thinking to yourself, well, was I not showing up for me before now? What was I doing? And I remember my son made a comment. He said, "You were doing a lot." And I shared with him, I said, what looked like a lot to you was a requirement of me as a parent. And a lot of times when we're in that space, when we're in that mode, we have this real internal struggle where we are trying to figure out, how am I going to show up for me and them? How am I going to show up at work for these children? How am I going to show up for my spiritual community? How am I going to show up here, there, and everywhere? I'm trying to navigate through this thing. And a lot of times we just don't have the tools to do it because no one ever gave us the right information, the tools necessary. So I strongly recommend one tool in particular is to, in the morning when you get out of bed, do not use your cellular device. Do not use the phone under any circumstances. Don't touch the phone for at least 30 minutes. You'll find out that something will begin to happen in your mind to where you'll start clearing a path for you to receive downloads from your internal being for your external experience. But it doesn't happen when we start picking up all this stuff. We pick up electronic devices, we turn TVs on, all that. As soon as we get out of the bed, we don't give ourselves any space to experience us. You've got to have space to experience you, your authentic self. You got some people haven't even heard their own thoughts in so long that they don't even know what they think anymore because they're inundated with so many other people's thoughts. It was interesting. Somebody sent me a message the other day, said, "Do you ever sleep? You're always posting on social media." I said, "No, that's called a robot." I said, "I'm not on social media like y'all think I am. I got an assistant." A lot of times you see comments, that's not coming from me. That's coming from somebody else. You're assuming that it's me because it's under my name. But that's not me, honey. I'm not sitting over here in social media. I'm in a high school teaching students. I don't have time to be sitting up on social media in the daytime. I'm not posting anything. I'm in there teaching children. I don't have time to do all that other foolishness. But it's assumed that I'm on social media. And I said, this is a sad thing that, in the time that we live in, that people are just so obsessed with this whole social exterior that they don't give themselves a chance to do anything. That's another thing that I recommend. Use a tool called Creative Studios or later.com. Let that post for you. Find out your analytics. Get in a creative account. Find out your analytics. When is the best time for you to post? If you want to stay plugged into your communities, if you feel like that's valuable and important for you, if that's something that you really need to do, that's something that you have to do. And we respect that. We don't want anybody feel like you don't have to stop doing anything you're doing. but you just got to make sure you're showing up for you. So use later.com or creative studios for your postings. It will schedule them. Matter of fact, Instagram is updated. It has reminders and scheduling options now, even when you do posting. So you can literally set your stuff to where it automatically does it. So you can allocate a specific time to where you're creating content. And then from there, experience the freedom of your time so you can show up for you. So you can show up for you as far as the time that you need in the morning to prepare your mind to be able to accept whatever's coming your way in that day. I'm going to yield to Angie in a second, but there's a Bible verse that talks about not thinking about what's up yesterday and not worrying about tomorrow, but you only have enough grace and mercy for that today. We don't have enough to withstand what may manifest tomorrow. And it really doesn't matter what has happened because that's not something we can rectify. Now, we can use the past as a catalyst to keep us aligned in understanding what we need to do different, how we need to differentiate our behaviors, maybe some relationships, things of that nature. So you can use the past as information to help you have a different future, but it's not to be used as some kind of crutch to stay connected to what was. It's not something that we can't do anything about that. We cannot change it. We can't fix it. We cannot repair it. So all the what if and if I could have, should have, would have, all that stuff is irrelevant. You're not showing up for you if you're in the past or if you're in the future. You have to stay in the now. Eckhart Tolle wrote a book called The Now, The Power of Now. You should pick up that publication. It is a very powerful publication that helps you to understand the moment, staying in the moment and seizing the moment. It's so important to do that because guess what? You know why people forget what happened today? You'll ask them, hey, what did you do yesterday? Girl, you know what? I don't even remember. Guess why? They were not in the moment. They weren't in the moment. That's why they don't remember what happened yesterday. They have no clue because in the moment in which they were in, they were thinking about something before or after, something like that, the past or the future, but not in the present moment. So we have to learn how to show up for us and remain in the moment. So we got my girl Angie Renee in the building. Angie, how are you showing up for you in 2022, ma'am?
How am I showing up for me? It's so funny that you actually just stated waking up at a certain time, right? That's something that I find myself doing now. I actually um, started it before the new year hit. I told myself that I'm gonna wake up at 6 a.m. every day. I don't care what time I go to sleep. Um, and I also gave myself a certain ritual that I'm gonna do every day when I do wake up at 6 a.m. Right. So, I don't believe in coincidences, coffee, so the fact that you actually stated that, and I had already had it, embedded in my brain that I was going to speak on that. You have to create a ritual for yourself. As Chandra stated, self-care is not limited to the spa, massages and pedicures and manicures. It's not limited to that. Self-care also includes that time for yourself, just by yourself, not with a masseuse, not with your nail tech, not with your hairstylist, right? That time with yourself. And what I can tell you is that since I have started waking up at that 6 a.m. every single day, having my ritual, I have gotten so much done before 8 a.m. By the time I'm finished doing my self-care stuff, it's 8 o'clock. I still got my entire day to do whatever it is that I got planned, right? My mind, like Coffee said, I did not touch a phone at all, right? Only time I touched the phone was to turn my alarm off. That's it. I'm not checking no emails. I'm not checking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. I'm not checking anything. Turn that alarm off, get up, brush my teeth, wash my face, all of that. I meditate. I pray. I say my affirmations, the same affirmations every single day. I read 2 chapters of 2 different books, sometimes more, depends on how I'm feeling, every single day. Every single day. I'm trying to tell you all, it hasn't even been 30 days yet, and I noticed a change. Follow what I'm saying? Because as Coffee stated, I'm giving myself time to just sit with me, hear my own thoughts, not look at what's going on today, what's in the news, what the CDC say we should and shouldn't be doing. I got time for that, right? I'm taking that time for myself, getting myself together, getting my mind together. Now, once I'm finished, 8 a.m. or whatever else I got scheduled for today, I'm cool. So anything that hits me, guess what? I'm ready for it. You know why? Because I prepared for it as soon as I woke up at 6 a.m. I'm not so quick tempered now because I done got my self-care together before I even entered out into the outside world. I'm hoping that I'm making sense. So that's how I am showing up for myself. And like I said, Coffee, I actually started this before the new year hit. And I did that on purpose. I didn't want to start January 1. I don't like being like everybody else. That ain't my thing, right? They call me Ange the anomaly for a reason. I don't want to do what everybody else doing, right? So I made sure that I started it before January 1. So I'm already in the game. I'm already in the game, right? I told myself, look, if you're going to go out, well, I knew that I wouldn't, but I talk to myself. We all do. Don't act like I'm the only one who do that, right? So I told myself, even if you do something on New Year's Eve, you getting up at 6 a.m. Because that's my discipline. I highly recommend that whatever it is that you all decide to not do or to start doing, that you make sure that it's a sacrifice, something that's not easy. See, 6 a.m. for some of you, probably like, oh, I've been doing it. I haven't. Not a morning person. So I chose something that I knew would be a sacrifice for me, that I knew would be real discipline. So now I'm about to add on my workout routine to that, right? I'm about to add that on. So now I got me out the way before I even get on social media, before I even go outside to do whatever it is that I have to do, whether it's running errands, getting my hair done, whatever it is, right? I have gotten me out the way. So that is how Angie Renee is showing up for herself in 2022, by not only putting her self-care first, but also putting myself first in any and all things, right? Chandra also stated something that I highly agree with. Just putting myself first when it comes to, just saying no to certain things. No, I ain't doing it. That ain't for me, right? Every opportunity ain't for me. Doesn't matter how good it sounds. If it's not in alignment, if I don't feel good about it, no. I don't care who's a part of it. I don't know. That's not for me, right? So it's okay with saying no to certain things. You don't have to say yes to every opportunity if it's not in alignment. So I've also learned from my past mistakes by always saying yes to certain things because it sounded good, right? It didn't feel good, but it sounded good. The reason why it didn't work out for me is because I was out of alignment. See, being in alignment is key to everything in life. I don't care what you got going on, right? I don't care how much money that is attached to it. If you out of alignment, baby, it ain't gonna work. Or you could find yourself burnt out. Or you could find yourself unhappy. Or you could find yourself having anxiety with it. Or you could find yourself depressed. You bagged up though. But you know why you got all those other things attached to you? Because you out of alignment. So you being bagged up and getting them coins, it's not gonna matter because you can't appreciate it anyway because your mind ain't right. You know, old people used to say back in the day, I'd rather I just thank God for my right mind, because having your right mind is everything. So if you're not in your right mind and you got all these coins and bags coming in, you can't enjoy it because you're not in your right mind. You're dealing with a mental illness, baby. You're dealing with that mental illness because you're out of alignment. So with that, I yield. You know, Coffee, I can go all day.
Y'all got me over here like, I just want to throw something at all y'all. You know how they do at the, you know how they do at church. You know how you be sitting on a couple rows before you just be talking about. You ain't got nothing. You ain't got nothing to throw, but you just the ugly face, and y'all know what I'm talking about. It's everybody of color know about that the church face. Everybody that's black has been to church. I don't know nobody that's black that has not been to church. I don't know nobody. Not one soul do I know that has not been to church. They got brown skin like mine. Okay. But you know what, Angie? You brought up something about sacrificing. And I'm glad you brought that up. I'm gonna talk about me. I'm gonna talk about me. I can do that. Y'all can't talk about me, but I'm gonna talk about me. So I've been working on the learning the art of fasting. You know what fasting really means, why you really fast, what is the real purpose behind it, and what does it really do for you, like internally and externally. And so I was driving today, Lady Victoria, and I saw, well, not that I was driving, I was checking my email from church. In our music department, we have this 21-day fasting that we do from now through the end of January. But they always say you need to decide what you're going to do. So they never say, well, you got to do this and that. They never do that. They say you need to decide what is going to work for you, your medical situation, your daily routine, whatever, whatever. So they give several different things that you can actually take advantage of that may work for you in your process. And so I was sitting in my truck, I was thinking to myself, what's really a sacrifice for me? Like what's really, when I really think about the big picture, what is it that I enjoy immensely that I really don't give up on a normal basis, that I make concessions for, that I go out of my way to do, that I go out of my way to experience, that I go out of my way to enjoy. And a couple of things dropped in my head. I was like, I got to give that up. And all I heard was, that's it. Do you see how your mind just responded to what you just thought? Do you see that this particular thing, that's what fasting is? It's the thing that when you think of it and you consider it, it makes you go, I gotta let that go. And you question in your brain, like, I don't know if I really want to. You start trying to negotiate that particular thing. And you think about it, you go, no, well, I don't know if I really want to. And so I heard something say, write it down. There's always power in writing. Forget these phones and all that, taking notes. There is some power in a pen and a piece of paper. It does something different to your brain than if you type it in a phone or you say it audibly. When you write something down, there's a different mental penetration that happens to you. And if something happens in your mind where your will starts, when I write down what I have to accomplish for a particular day, I always get it done. If I put it in my phone, if I put it on a voice recorder, sometimes I never get all of it done. But something about when I write it down, I go back and I say, oh man, I did all of that. Something happens when you write things down. And so I began to write it down. And then I made myself accountable. So my daughter got in the car from work. And I said, I haven't been doing good with this fasting thing. I've been trying it for a while, but I really haven't had the level of success that I really want to have with it. I said, so guess what? I had a whole new revelation. So she was like, well, what was it? And so when I shared it with her, she said the same thing, y'all. She said, oh, I don't know if you gonna get that up. And to hear her say that, it confirmed that was something an area that I need to discipline myself in. And I told her, I said, when you really think about it, if you're going to fast, it means to stay away from something that brings you immense pleasure, whatever that means, to discipline yourself to a maturation space. Not suggesting that you're immature, but it's a maturation space when it comes to that thing. Because if you really think about it and you consider anything that you can think about and then you gravitate towards, it has a level of power over you. Whether you want to acknowledge it or not is different. But whatever that is, it has power to dictate your movement. That's why it's so important that you're meticulous in who you're listening to. I love what Angie said about she hears her voice in the morning. You know how important that is to hear your voice in the morning, not somebody else's? You need to hear your own sound so you can make a distinction between what another sound sounds like. You can't even make a distinction between what's real and what's not if you never hear yourself. God spoke and everything happened. So believe me when I tell you the universe knows God's voice. And every last one of us have a distinct sound that comes with our voice. I'm going to yield over to Lady Victoria in a second, but this lady, she called me out of the blue today. She said, well, she texted me. She said, hey, is it okay for you to call me or can I call you? And I said, well, let me get my student settled in. I'll give you a shout. So I called her and the first thing she said to me is your voice. It's your voice, Coffee. It's your voice. And I said, well, what is it about my voice? And she began to start talking about my voice and what my voice has done for her life. And I just started to smile because I said, wow, you never know the impact that your voice has on someone, but it has to be your voice. So, guys, as we're talking about this, we're live streaming on all social media platforms outside of Instagram. And so that's the reason why we haven't yielded over to the other individuals on the stage at Clubhouse just yet. But we live stream for 1 hour and then we head over to Clubhouse just so you guys are aware in the Clubhouse space what's going on. Because I know some of you are like, what's going on right now? But, back to what I was saying, that was a brief commercial break. But when it comes to your voice, you need to get to know you in a very deep way. I'm talking about not a superficial way. I'm talking about intensely to the point where you cannot allow that nobody can come from the outside and penetrate who you are on the inside. You won't find yourself losing yourself in work, relationships, experiences. Chandra said something very important, talked about losing yourself between work and providing and doing this and that. And I got to show up for you. I got to show up for that. I got to be here. I got to do that. Even Effie was talking about that earlier in what she was sharing with her medical situation that manifested in her life. She started considering, well, I got to think, wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. If Effie's not here to say, I love my children, and Effie's not here to say, oh my God, I need an opportunity for me to be able to do what I want to do. And I is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. You have to understand and respect that. You have to respect the I of who you are. And as you begin to do that, your life is going to start shifting. I'm telling you, your life, you're going to start seeing people see you differently. They're going to respond to your presence differently. When you walk into a room, they're going to be like, girl, you look different. What? Oh, you, okay. And they're not going to know what happened. But guess what? It's like what Angie was talking about. You've gotten to know you. You've invested in you. You spent time with you. You become very intimately connected to you. And that is more important than anything. It's God first, then you, then your family, then all other stuff. But it has to be God first, then you, then everything else. You got to keep you right underneath God. It's got to be him, then you, then family, then all the other stuff goes underneath that in whatever order you think it, you believe it needs to go in. But it's got to be the one that made you, then you as the creation, and then everything that he created to manifest in your life. Once you get those things aligned and in order correctly, then you'll be able to do a whole lot more in your life and you'll enjoy your experiences like what Effie was talking about. You'll be able to enjoy who God has created you to be. So I'm going to yield the mic over to Lady Victoria. Y'all coming in. Listen here. Y'all coming in hot tonight. I likes it. I likes it a lot. I'm going to yield the mic over to Lady Victoria. Lady Victoria, how are you showing up for you in 2022, man?
Whew. When I talk about how I am showing up for myself in 2022, I need to backtrack about 5 months or so. That journey actually began longer ago than that, but it was about 5 months ago that I made an active change. I needed to do it right then. It had gotten so bad until my entire being was affected by what I was currently doing. I was living in Chicago at that time, practically born and raised there. Well, born and raised there, lived other places, but born and raised there. And I was a supervisor for a home for displaced pregnant women. Okay. And I was what they called the house mom or the supervisor there. So I supervised the women that lived there with their children and my staff that lived there. I loved what I was doing because it gave me an opportunity to work up close and personal with these women who just weren't displaced because they were pregnant. But of course, you all are all coaches. You know, they had many, many other issues that came along with that. And usually it was around the 90-day mark that all of their issues came out on the table. And every day, Miss Victoria, do you have a few minutes? Miss Victoria, can I talk to you after dinner? Miss Victoria, can I talk to you in the morning before we go down for prayer? It was a Christian organization, so we had prayer every morning and prayer every evening. And so this went on for 3.5 years, 3 years and 5 months. At the end of those 3 years and 5 months, I was so completely burned out physically, emotionally, mentally. I had nothing left to give. All of that time, the majority of that time, I had nothing left for Victoria. I went to bed exhausted every night because you had to live in the home with the women. I lived in 5 days and I had my 2 days off. I was so emotionally drained at the end of the night until around 2.5 years, I was going to bed just crying practically every night. And it got to the point where I simply said, God, get me out no matter what. I cannot do this anymore. I made the decision. I moved to Texas originally in 2013. And I went back to Chicago when my mom became ill and I became her caregiver until she transitioned home, and then stayed there because my youngest daughter was in high school and I wanted her to be stabilized because she had been in 3 different high schools in 3 years with all the moving about that we were doing. So I stayed, but I stayed to my detriment. I was supposed to come back here to Texas where my assignment is, where my purpose at this point in my life will be actually played out. So I had to come back home and I asked God, get me out no matter what, get me out no matter what. My supervisor, my manager never expected me to leave. They never expected me to leave. The board of directors never expected me to leave. It was a very small company, but they did a lot of big work throughout Chicago, and they were connected with other homes across the nation that did the same. But I couldn't take it anymore. I was in a place of Lodabar. I was in a place where I was just in a wasteland. There was nothing left for me. There was no pasture there for me. And I kept trying to function in a place, literally, emotionally, and spiritually, where there was nothing there to support my growth. I'd given everything away. I'd given all that I could to the moms. They knew that they could knock on my door or text my phone at 2 a.m. and say, Miss Victoria, I'm having a crisis. Can I talk to you in the office, please? Please, can I talk to you in the office? If a mom went into labor, I literally had to be the one most of the times to drive her to the hospital. You know, babies come when they get ready. They don't come when they're necessarily assigned to come. So most of the things that went on in the home, it's not a pat on my back. I'm just explaining, what my role was there. And I gave so much of myself away until there was nothing left. And I literally asked God, just show me how. Tell me. And I had a conversation with my oldest daughter. And through that conversation, I recognized the revelation. You're not producing here because you're in the wrong place. I kept saying, what's out of order? What's out of alignment? You, dear child, said the Father to me, you're the one out of line. You're the one out of alignment. Lord, fix this. You don't need me to fix it. You just need to do what I told you. Get out. Your purpose has been served here. You are done with this assignment. Go. So I began to gather my things and I said, well, I'm going tomorrow. I'm going actually yesterday. Can I do that? But then, of course, God said, there's order in everything. There is order in everything. So set some things in motion, set some things in place. Now, I had an assigned time to get up at that time too, Angie, at 6 a.m. But I needed to ante up a little bit. So I started getting up at 5 a.m. 5 a.m. I started getting up. And now my body is so attuned to getting up at 5 a.m. If I go to bed at 3, guess what? I'm still waking up at 5. The alarm, I don't need the alarm clock. The body automatically knows what to do. So I get up at 5. I have my prayer time. I have my devotion time. I have my time to exercise. I have my time to read. I have my time to write. I take care of me first. And the other thing critical, and so many of you ladies, every one of you has said something about how you've transitioned and what you're doing that I've done as well. So we're all taking a page from everyone's book. But I learned really how to listen to my inner man, the voice of God, or sometimes the little girl in me who's instructing the adult woman of what to do next. I've learned to listen to her. I learned when she comes, if I get a little bit off, she'll come and she'll say, I don't feel well. I don't feel like this is the right thing to do. This is going to hurt me later if you do this now. This is the little girl that's showing up for the adult me to help keep the adult me on track. Self-care is so critically important. I was so busy being there for everyone else, for everyone that lived in that home, for so many of our vendors, for so many of those that made charitable donations to our organization. I was so busy being there for them, and then so busy still trying to live my own life on the 2 days left that I had of the week to live my life. I still couldn't do it because I had children and I had grandchildren and they needed me. So I had to show up. No matter how tired I was, no matter how exhausted I was, I showed up for everybody, but I did not show up for Victoria. I didn't oftentimes show up for my creator. I didn't show up for my health and my well-being. I didn't show up for my spiritual self. I gave everything away to all of the wrong people and to all of the wrong things. And one day, just making notes and going through some papers, I found something that I had written down. We were talking earlier, Coffee and I and Effie, and I made reference to being a Mary Kay consultant on and off for many years. One of the things they taught us as consultants is it's always God first, family second, career third, and after that, everything else. If you don't take care of you, you can't take care of everyone else. If I don't nurture my spiritual being, my inner soul woman, I can't nurture anyone else. If I just have a bunch of holes in my womb, I am unable to keep anything in. I am unable to sustain anything or properly sustain anybody else eventually, because holes in your soul leads to leakage. And when things start leaking out that are no longer good, the good stuff in you that's in there that should stay in, when it starts to leak out, there's a major problem. And that's the point that I had gotten to. So for 2022, the first thing I did was to leave Lodabar and come into Canaan. So now I'm in my land where I can grow, the land where I can prosper. It is a physical, literal place, but it is also a spiritual place as well. It is an emotional place as well. And in the 5 months that I've made that transition, I've dug up some of the trees that were in my soul. I filled in some of those empty spaces that were in my soul with good stuff, with balance, and with creativity. And most of all, rest and relaxation. I kept saying, what am I supposed to do when I get there? What am I supposed to do when I get there? Oh, Lord, what am I supposed to do when I get there? And he kept telling me the same thing over and over and over again in the most loving and caring voice of a father, of a shepherd. You're supposed to rest. You're supposed to rest. But when you become so accustomed to being a busy body, you're not being a productive body. You're not really being a production center. Busyness just overtakes you and it feels like just the right thing to do. Let me do this and let me do that and let me do this and let me do that and let me run over here. He said, rest. What am I supposed to do? Rest. And so in 2022, I'm resting. In 2022, I'm in a place of wholeness. In 2022, I'm in a place of peace. In 2022, I show up for Victoria. I show up for my creator. I show up for myself. That's how I'm taking care of me. And that's how I'm showing up for me every day. I yield my mic to P. Coffee Brown.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So here go Effie. Effie done through something now. Effie like, child. Listen, we are already at the top of the hour. It has been an incredible hour, power packed. It goes by so fast. I want to thank my sisters for being present with me tonight. I honor you all and appreciate you. The only commodity that we cannot get back is time. And so I am super thankful that you took time out of your schedules to be here to add value to our communities. They need us and we need them, and we have something that can bless them. And so we're here to be a blessing after God has blessed us. We're giving back to you all. So we're going to end the live streaming segment for tonight. And if you want to continue to hang out with us and find out more about this conversation, come on over to Clubhouse and kick it with us for just a little bit longer. We're not going to stay long. We're not going to be that long. I'm getting ready to take off this little makeup and kind of chill, put me on some, put me on a little more jazz, come in a little more hot before it's time to get that R&R to be able to get ready and prepared for tomorrow. But I do honor and appreciate you ladies so much. When we come off the live stream, they will be sending their information in the chat so that you guys can connect to them. Be certain that if anybody resonated with you that was on the platform this evening, that you contact them directly and say thank you. It costs nothing to be kind. So say thank you. Say, I appreciate you. Say thank you for the words that you shared on tonight. And so we appreciate you guys being here with us. Special shout out to Effie. Her new release is coming out here soon, and you guys will be able to get more information about that, how you can participate in that for her new project that is getting ready to come out. So we're excited for you for that. My sister from another Mr. and Mrs. And I do appreciate, I look forward to hearing about the projects of all my sisters. Angie has a new release that's come out recently. Chandra, myself, everybody has actually. We all have releases that have come out recently. So definitely connect, tap in, get to know us a little bit better. We got something for you to add value to you. We're not just talking. We have been there, done that, and we have grown from it to who we are today. So again, thank you guys for tuning in to the hot seat on tonight. I am your hostess with the mostest, Coach P. Coffee Brown, here in the great state of Texas by way of Houston. We are signing off for now. I am officially graduated from college as of yesterday. So to God be all the glory for the things that he's doing in all of our lives, honey. We coming in hot for 2022. How am I showing up for me in 2022? I am going back and doing my first works over. That's what I'm doing for me in 2022. I am answering my assignment, not just my passion, but my assignment. So where are you assigned to? Think about it as we exit for tonight. So we bid you grace, peace, and blessings until next time, and double shalom for 2022 to you and your family. Good night for now to our live streaming audience, and we'll see you all again soon. God bless.
Coach P. Coffee Brown and the DFG Publishing House family presents She Chose Him and Screwed Me, 9 Reasons for Her Decision, a brand new anthology project by 9 incredible women. They share with you their reasons as to why they would date one and choose to be married to another. Order your copy today from your favorite author or simply go to www.dfgpublishingtoday.com.